What's
I'm
wrong?
supporting
What's
players.
wrong with having 100% of cars being EVs?
The problem with that, okay, a couple. There's first of all,
Just what's wrong with that?
yeah, here's what's wrong with it. Biden administration right now is trying to build a national charging station powered by the government and funded by the government and all over the problem with that is Henry Ford didn't envision a nationalized gas system. What does that mean? If you have ban the internal combustion engine, and then you only have a national, especially a powertrain, or you have to plug in your house, which is going to be a huge electricity bill increase. You're going to have the government will have the power to turn off this electricity. Number one, they can stop movement. But more importantly, when you're plugging in and charging your EV, not only are you relying more on China for all the rare earth mining, the cobalt, and for other components, but you're also literally charging your car currently on 40, 50, 80% fossil fuels. So it's a coal car, it's a natural gas car, it's an oil car, depending on where you live and what your local generation is. So it's just it's a weird, nonsensical transfer. People think, oh, I have an electric car. I don't need fossil fuels. I'm sorry. And how are you plugging it in? Where's the energy? Michael Moore laid this out brilliantly in Planet of the Humans. He said, oh, everyone's for solar and wind, electric cars, but where's that energy coming from? And he would show like the solar panel displays. They'd pull the curtain back like in The Wizard of Oz and show the diesel generators running the power as backup behind the scenes. So, but an electric car, if you want to get one, fine. I personally will never buy one because I drive stick shift. Until they come up with at least a faux stick shift in an electric car, I have no interest in it. But there's nothing wrong with an electric car. I know people have Teslas. They love them in that regard, but don't try to sell them as planet saving and don't mandate it and don't use them to get rid of, internal combustion cars. But beyond that, huge number of government reports, academic, U.S. Information Agency, all these reports coming out calling for the abolition of private car ownership, which is where I think this is ultimately going to go. Andrew Yang, the Democrat president, I believe you interviewed him about
3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. He actually, during the campaign when he was running for president, said he wants to possibly look at eliminating private car ownership and instead turning to roving fleet of rental electric cars for people. That is where I think they want to go with this. And an electric car, and there's also reports, and I haven't been able to verify this, but that Elon Musk should try to depower or turn off his cars that are in Russia as a punishment to the Russian citizens for living under Putin. But the idea that you have to pay a subscription for certain elements, for certainly the self-driving parts of Tesla, you're getting into this corporate government merger where your life's going to be more dependent. One of the things that the automobile, i.e. the internal combustion engine, gave Americans was freedom. The freedom to move, freedom of movement, freedom to drive. Same way with cheap air travel. They're going after that hard. Under a declared climate emergency, you can only fly when it's morally justifiable. In France, they're already limiting short-haul flights due to CO2. In the United States, they are literally talking about flying once or twice a year in all these government reports. And I detail them. These are in peer-reviewed journal. These are in academic reports. It's very clear where they want to go with this. So they've got this threat of CO2, and they're using it for everything, the same way they used the threat of a virus to shut down churches and backyard barbecues and weddings and funerals. But hey, Walmart was open, and hey, Amazon was making a lot of money, and hey, go online and Facebook. This is part of their agenda. They need crises, and it's about crisis declaration. If you go back in history, the Roman Republic descended into an empire from abuse of emergency powers. Middle Ages saw centralization of power. Germany, 1933, the abuse of emergency powers. The Patriot Act, abuse of emergency powers, which essentially is leading to all the banning of free speech today. But this is the world we face. Now they want to declare a national climate emergency. They want to have a pandemic treaty, which is the most frightening thing, modeled after this UN climate IPCC report. That's where we're headed right now with the COVID climate merging of issues. And Bill Gates is calling it germ. Bill Gates, single biggest funder of the World Health Organization. They want a pandemic treaty where Bill Gates paid experts can declare a viral emergency, shut down essentially the world in a whim. You can get rid of your outliers like Sweden or Ron DeSantis, make us all beholden to some global treaty where we have to go on it. That's what's scary. They tried for decades on climate, utterly failed. That's why they went after kids. The whole Greta Thunberg movement was the climate's activists' realization that they failed to convince adults, so they went after kids. And they did a pretty good job with kids to scare them.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.